Morning, guys. Saturday morning. I thought I'd give you another look at my plants this morning. Got some long, leggy tomato plants, but I've got tomatoes on them. Got blooms popping up. They've got to go to the greenhouse, but I got a couple more days where I can take them out. So I got my tub with my sweet potatoes in it. My pineapples. I've got two of them now. I'm putting in dirt. They've already got long roots. I'm working on getting them in dirt. A couple old onions I found still growing. I've got them in the pot, trying to keep them alive, trying to get them in the ground. It's been kind of cold the last couple of nights, so been down in the 20s. I'm trying not to put anything out, shock it that much, because it's warm in here. So that's a bunch of little peppers, some jalapenos. I tried a couple different ones, and I planted several in a 6-pack to make sure they grew, and every one of them come up. There's some cilantro and eggplant in the back there. These are Abe Lincoln heirloom tomatoes. They take a long time, so that's the reason they're growing so early. I should be able to get them out on the 1st of May. Or it'll be good size by then, but they're real slow growing. They're like a 90-day instead of a 55 or a 65. There's my 4th little pineapple. Got my sweet potatoes out. They're starting to sprout on these ends. I'm going to start another round. As we use them, I'll cut the ends off and put them in dirt. Got cauliflower and broccoli. There's Brussels sprouts. I didn't think. It's early. Some more eggplant. They're all starting to get up good size. I'm trying to get them up big enough to get them in the garden. I did get my garden worked again yesterday, 2 of them. 2 of them was dry enough, 2 of them's not. We're finna go to the garden. So I got marigolds, really big. These are the sweet potato cups I made. I guess I got them too wet. I put them off the tray with some tomatoes and wasn't paying attention, and the tray filled up with a little water in the bottom, and I think they rotted. But I ain't really lost anything. It was just an experiment. Some of them grows, it's good. If not, oh well. But you don't. Sweet potato starts in dirt, get very wet. You got to keep them kind of dry. I messed around, set them down the tray, keep them from leaking anywhere, and put more water in the tomatoes than I realized. I came home from work, they were soaked. So. Oh well, they grow. It's good. If not, I didn't waste much. Got a couple of new items. My daughter gave me some aloe she's been messing with. She's got a green thumb. She's still working on it, but she does really good with stuff like aloe and houseplants, and where I'm more in the garden. But I've had a lot of years in the garden, so when you're raised in it, it's hard to get away from it. I told you I plowed the garden. I saved a few collard greens and a curly leaf kale out of the garden. I'm going to put them in pots. I couldn't hardly let it go. I like them both. Here's some more pepper plants. And our cucumber plants. These are the ones that don't have to be pollinated by bees. They're self-pollinating cucumbers. I'd have to look the name up again. Of course, I probably couldn't pronounce it anyway. Best I remember, it was a little unique. But you get them from Baker Creek Seeds. I got bell peppers and beaver down peppers and big red peppers and all kinds of stuff mixed in here. But I've got a good dose of peppers for 2 gardens. I'm going to be putting the peppers over at my daughter's house in the garden too. Of course, my tray of starts I was trying, cuttings, and I got a few things to live. I've had to pull some out. Some of them just didn't make it. I'm about done with it. I've got, looks like 4 pig plants left to pull. Everything else looks like it never did quite make it, so Had a lot of them to try, but it just wasn't hardly enough. Which I've got some in the few things I got out of it. I got growing in a tray I didn't show, but they're fig trees. But that's a look at how things is growing here. We got an early start. My peppers are huge. I won't have to pot them and put them in the greenhouse, but that's alright. I'd like to have some early ones and some later ones. It works out well. I'll show you the gardens next. Ain't that a pretty sight? Been plowed, dirt's been rolled down. It's almost ready for a tiller. It just needs to be a little drier. I got out here yesterday with the tractor right after work. Didn't really have time to video what I was doing. I'm hoping I can catch it on the next two gardens. Two of the gardens was pretty wet. One was really wet. This one was pretty well dried out, and my small garden over here, garden number 2, I guess you'd call it, was dry enough. It won't be long. Weather breaks and we start getting away from all the frost and the cold weather. We're going to be planting this thing. I've got a bunch of stuff planned for it. Got a big garden again this year. Got a few more extra trees and plants to put out. I've already planted some trees. It's just hit and miss in this kind of weather, so I get out and do things and don't necessarily get to record it. But I'll take you over to the little garden. Well, let's stop here at the garlic. Garlic's looking good this morning. Starting to stand up. Garlic, when you plant in the fall and it starts coming up, it gets really cold. It'll lay down and grow across the ground a little bit, and it looks pretty bad. But when the sun starts starting to warm things up in the spring, the ground starts warming up, that little green plant that's grown on the ground starts standing up. Leaves start forming. They say for every leaf you get, that's how many layers you got. So I'm hoping we get a really thick set of leaves on every one of these. I've been pulling weeds. I covered all this because they was calling for 6 to 8 inches of snow and possibly up to 12, they said. Temperatures around 0, so I don't really want 6 or 8 inches of snow set on top of my garlic. Not that I think it'd kill it, but it'd set it back. Using my little PVC cover I made last year. I had a video about covering stuff with it. The garlic's staying up and doing good. Next order of business is the onions here. We plant our onions in the fall, October, November. We get up here, somewhere right here, they start being 3 in a row. That's what people call onion sets here, or onion bulbs. The old folks call them onion sets, even though it's just a dry bulb. They're done really well. See my part of my cover down there. Now from this section this way is long day onions, which they say you're not supposed to be able to do here. Not supposed to grow long day onions. This is the 3rd year. Long day onions do really good. You got to plant them early. It takes a long time for them to mature, but when they do, it makes some big onions. Or it did last year. You look at my videos last year in the Garden 2020 section on my channel. We had some really nice onions. We didn't plant a lot of them. We was trying to get used to the idea, but they're doing really well. You can see I got the little garden laid down. It's hard to get in here with a disc, even after you plow it, because it's in a little tight area. I am a urban homestead. I do live in a little town. I've got a lot of stuff on our property here. We got less than 2 acres, but You know, with all the fruit trees and the vines and bushes and raised beds, and there just ain't much room. And all I got's a pull type disc with the old tractor. So I use cultivators. It's a way to get around it. Because the cultivators are a 3-point hitch. I can back into the garden and get in the tightest spots and still roll the dirt. Might not be as good as a good set of discs, but it works. I've done it for years. Even the other garden I showed you, I'd turn it with the cultivators. But we are a part of Shed Boars. If you want to follow us during Shed Boars, we're going to have a section just for Shed Board videos and our weigh-ins and our 12 garden tip videos and whatever else we decide to put in it. It ought to be interesting. They're going to pick teams, I think, next weekend. The 12th and the 13th is when they're going to do the official drafts, as they call it. So stay tuned and you'll find out when we do what team we're going to be on. We'll work for whichever one we have to. But y'all have a good day. Enjoy the sunshine. God bless.